I genuinely think that 70% of Quora Digest is Fed posting, and I want Americans to stay safe on social media right now because we saw how dangerous it is to post under the Biden administration. Like, if you're not aware, there was this individual which posted edgy shit online. The feds came in and he got shot. So people should be very careful what they post online now, unless you're a Hollywood actor. If you're a Hollywood actor, you can post whatever the fuck you want, whatever, all the time. Nothing bad will happen to you. But if you're an average citizen, you should be careful. Anyway, I digress. I was looking at this story from Quora Digest. How would a gun owner react if threatened to stomp on his dog unless he turned in his gun? Very interesting question. I guess it's like either you give me your gun because gun owners are irrational, or I'm going to cause you to do something irrational to prove why you need to give me your gun. Like, basically what they're trying to imply is that average citizens can't be trusted. And it's interesting that, like, okay, so if you don't trust average citizens, like, who do you trust? The government? So, like, the average citizen, which you don't trust, if they become a police officer, do you trust him then? And if the answer is no, so, like, you don't trust the average citizen, you don't trust the police officer, who do you trust then? Like who, if something bad happens, who should respond? Okay, like, you have a crazy person in society, or someone that genuinely doesn't care about the law, like, literally does not, and that person comes to do you harm. Who do you trust then? But anyway, to answer your question, like, how would people react if you threatened them with a crime? Because that's what it means, like, to stomp on a dog means that you're the criminal. So, if you're not going to respect the law, you expect other people to respect the law. Okay, fine, I understand. Most gun owners are law-abiding citizens, and they're not going to go to jail even for their dog, right? Like, they know that if they pull the gun on someone for no reason, they can end up having their entire life in prison. Now, take into account there are other ways of stopping criminals, such as threatening them, not using your gun, like just getting up in their face, preventing them from stomping on the dog. You know, like, there's many other ways that don't require a weapon that two mature adults can interact. The problem is that you're a crazy person. Like, if you're going to go to an individual and threaten them with a crime for no reason whatsoever, you are mentally challenged and insane. In such a case, it's really disappointing that America decided to shut down its mental asylums, but you clearly need psychiatric help. Like, if you're going to go with a person that has a fire weapon just to test them, you know, like, what if you run into another crazy person just like you? Why do you want to play like that? It's kind of like, you can apply this to other things that don't involve guns, by the way. You know, like crossing the street. Right, so like when you have a sidewalk, you're supposed to stop, look to the left, look to the right, and then cross the street. Okay? But some people I saw, they just walk normally, and then go whoop! It's almost like trying to see if they're going to surprise the driver or not. And most of the times they don't. Like, the driver hits the brakes. But what happens when the driver just doesn't notice, doesn't have the time to react? Right? Like, why do you play with your life like that? So yeah, like my problem wouldn't be with the gun owner in this situation. My problem would be with the person asking the question. Like, why would you go around looking for trouble? You know, this is literally like saying, okay, how would you react if I scratch your car with the key? Right? And if your answer is violent, so you're a criminal, you can't be trusted. It's like, I'm sorry, but you know that this is going to cause an emotional reaction in most people. You know that it's difficult for people to react in the heat of the moment. So you're like trying to make a point by saying, okay, but like, I'm going to be a criminal. And if you are going to be a criminal as well, you're the one that's the problem. No. Like, I'm sorry, in a healthy, normal society, anyone who thinks like this would be placed under a straitjacket and given psychiatric help because he is obvious a danger to himself and others. Again, like, you can use this argument against people who drive cars. It's like, what happens if I throw myself in front of your car? Like, I hit the brakes. What happens if I scratch your car? I get angry, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to drive the vehicle over you, right? But like, the most interesting aspect is that you think this is acceptable. And like most people in the comment sections also were siding with this guy asking the question, like thinking this is acceptable behavior. It's not. It's obviously not. And again, like, if you were to do this, and like most people think in a medieval sense, where you have like the peasantry and the aristocracy, right? So like the peasantry have different rules than the aristocracy. Like what do you think would happen if you attempted to do this to a politician's dog or to the president's dog, and they're surrounded by Secret Service? What do you think would happen to you? Of course, the law will side with them, because usually when they're out, like, they have cameras and witnesses and stuff, right? But like, well, you're going to get a face filled with concrete if you try that. Like, they're going to slam it to the ground, put your hands behind your back, and if you try to resist, it can escalate, right? So, like, for some reason, it's okay for politicians who don't carry guns to still be protected by guns. Like, all the Secret Service, all the people around them that are there to perform guard duty, like, they have guns, and it's fine, right? Like, no one will ask, like, what do you think would happen if I attack the president's dog? Like, everyone knows what would happen. But for some reason, if you do it to Bob, who happens to live in the ghetto, well, it's a different situation, right? Because Bob doesn't need to have, like, the same rights as politicians, the same rights as rich people. Bob is a peasant. He's not the aristocracy. So he has to behave himself in a certain manner. Which is interesting, you know? Like, if Bob had the Secret Service, I'm pretty sure, like, he wouldn't act irrationally at all. But yeah, no, like, this is a dumb question. And it's bait. And I'm not an American, okay? But, like, talking with Americans online, what I think would happen, and what I think the answer to this question is that they wouldn't commit a crime. They wouldn't pull the gun out. They would still engage in a confrontation, and they have all the right to do so, because you're doing a crime against them. You're threatening them with attacking their dog, which is illegal. So they have the right to defend themselves and their property. But I don't think, like, they would pull their gun, no. I may be wrong, you know, of course, and it depends from individual to individual. But I'm basing all this as well on road rage. Like, there's a lot of accident and road rage happening, and yet, you know, like, there's not a shootout every single time one takes place. Like, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure, like, someone can pull up some examples. But then I can also pull out examples from London where people bring the cutlery. You know, like, there are crazy people in the world, that is true. But also, America has rules and regulations to prevent crazy people from having access to firearms. In fact, quite a number of times that I see the recent tragedies happening due to guns, it's because those regulations weren't applied. And the people who shouldn't have access to the firearms did get access to the firearms. In fact, like, one of the worst shootings in the United States, the one that happened at the gay bar, apparently the person who was operating a firearm store had the guy coming in and, like, he was ordering very suspicious weapons, and the guy called the feds, and the feds said, oh no, well, we're not going to do anything because, like, probably the shopkeeper is Islamophobic. Right? So, like, you get this type of shit every now and then. But again, you know, like, the system is there. Like, if it's not being applied, what else can you do? Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.